In this video, we're going to look at a two-person exchange economy. We're going to derive the contract curve when both consumers have quasi-linear utility functions. Our objectives are to solve for the contract curve in the two-person exchange economy. We're going to graph the contract curve in an Edgeworth box. And just for reference, a contract curve is a curve or line connecting all Pareto optima points. And Pareto optimal, it is not possible to make one person or one consumer better off without making at least one person or one consumer worse off. So our setup, consumer 1's utility function. The initial endowment for consumer 1 is as follows: 4 units of good X and 8 units of good Y. Consumer 2's utility function and consumer 2's endowment. First thing we'll do is get the marginal utility for good X and good Y for consumer 1. So we're going to take the partial derivative of this consumer's utility function, consumer 1's, with respect to X. This 1/2 comes down in front. And we subtract 1 from this exponent, and we would get the following result. And the marginal utility of good Y for consumer 1 is just going to be 1. And if we were to form the marginal rate of substitution, the marginal utility of good X divided by the marginal utility of good Y, would be left with the following result. For consumer 2, we take the partial derivative of the utility function with respect to good X, and we get back this result here. The 1/2 times 2 just cancels, so you're left with this. And the marginal utility of good Y, once again, is 1. Forming the marginal rate of substitution, the marginal utility of good X divided by the marginal utility of good Y, we have the following result. In competitive equilibrium, the marginal rate of substitution for consumer 1 will equal that of consumer 2. So setting those two equations equal to one another. Just rewriting that. And note that our endowment, our total endowment of good X is 10 units. So we can write the following. Consumer 2's consumption of X will equal 10 minus consumer 1's consumption of X. And we'll make a substitution here where we have X subscript 2. We're going to place that with 10 minus X subscript 1. And now we got one equation and one unknown. So multiplying through and squaring both sides and solving for X. We'll get our contract curve, or at least interior solution to that. So 10 divided by 5, X equals 2. And now let's go ahead and graph that. So this rectangle here with dimensions of 10 and 10, that is the Edgeworth box. The interior solution to the contract curve, we said X subscript 1 equals 2. So we have a vertical line here at 2, which corresponds to 8 units of consumption for the second consumer. And then also part of the contract curve will be this horizontal section right here. And part of this contract curve will also be this horizontal section up here. Any point along either of these horizontal sections would be Pareto optimal. It'd be impossible to make one consumer better off without hurting another consumer. Likewise, this vertical section of the contract curve also is showing all points where it'd be impossible to make one person better off without hurting another person. All right, that's it. I'll stop here.